Welcome everybody to this beautiful session of the Light Warrior Collective on this Sunday, the 6th of August in 2023. We have been doing this for over 3 years now and doing a straight run with interesting sessions. Today we've got a great session aligned for you. My name is Wouter, I'm your tech host. If there are any technical challenges, send me a direct message and I'll sort you out as soon as possible. And for today's introduction, I will hand it over to our beautiful host, Jovial.
Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me clear enough? Okay, great. So Inken is not back, so I will do her introduction as well. So welcome to Light Warrior community. Today, every Sunday, we are here, same hour for 1 hour self-care, self-love moment for you all. And today we are honored to invite one of my friends, Jane Zawadowski. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. If not, please correct me. So she is my yoga teacher training friends, which actually we went together to the same program like 3 years ago. And I really adore by everything she does in the past and everything that she tried to bring to the table. So Jen is everything you can think of. I mean, I have so many things that I want to talk about her. I mean, she can be like, she's a certified trainer, of course, like a nonviolent communications like practitioner, and she'll tell us more about it today, as well as like she's a yoga teacher, of course, and she has a lot like other things to do as well. She actually worked for sarahpayton.com as like an activist. You can tell me more about that, Jen, as well. So she is an activist for the transgender right, and she actually loved gardening. And she loves cat, and she has 3 beautiful like teenager kids, which is one of the things that I really adore by what she has done to the kids. She actually spent a lot of time with her kids and build the family together. I just feel like I always like check on your post, Jen. If you don't know about that, that's how I kind of reach out to you to kind of want to communicate and collaborate with you so that you can bring your light to us as well. So I will send it to you right now. Welcome you to our Light Warrior, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jovial. That was so sweet. Oh my gosh. I do want to say I'm not actually a certified trainer in nonviolent communication yet. I'm a candidate. I've been a candidate for years. I just haven't prioritized doing that work yet, but it's on the table for sometime. But thank you for inviting me. Thank you for our connection and for looking at what I do. I also look at what you do, and I love the community that you've built here. This is wonderful. And I have fond memories of our yoga teacher training as well. Oh gosh, let's see. I'm gonna jump right in here with this talk about nonviolent communication and gratitude. And I would like to let you know that up in the top corner, you can also, as you probably know, you can like switch it over to grid form so you can see more people if that's something that you enjoy. I know I do. I like seeing both. I want to see the slides that people have made, but also I want to see you. So I'm kind of looking off to the side a little bit. By a show of your physical hands or your electronic hand, how many of you have been introduced to nonviolent communication before? Like you've heard of it, or Jovial has, yes. Trent a little, Inken a little, okay. All right, Walter, great. All right, so nonviolent communication is not something I'm gonna get really into deeply right now, just because we don't have the time, but some concepts of it, some foundational concepts of it will be woven into what I am gonna be sharing with you. So if you have more questions, there is like a lifetime of study to be had about nonviolent communication. So I expect there will be some questions, and just also feel free to ask me questions as we go. All right. So actually, my experience with gratitude practice started before I knew about nonviolent communication. I learned about NVC in 2011, but before that, I did this very intense gratitude practice with a girlfriend who started a group of us to practice together, and I'll layer that experience in. I've sort of cobbled this together over my years of doing gratitude practice since about 2000, maybe 4 or so. I'm not sure. Okay, so what I invite you to do also is to have a journal with you, or just think about the questions that I'm going to be presenting to you as we go. But I have a story to share first about an experience that I had actually in Switzerland. So I was in this town listening to music concerts, and the mayor of the town is also the organizer of the music concerts. And I was there, like Jovial mentioned, with my 3 teenage children. I was very fortunate. My mom sponsored our trip there. And then also my nephew and niece were there. So we had 5 teenagers, and actually one friend from China too, because we used to live in China. So we had 6 teenagers, and they were sitting at the back of the church, like listening to classical music. But that was a little bit hard for them sometimes. And one time one of them was on their phone, I guess, and it fell. And then this mayor guy, who's also the organizer of the whole entire music festival, quickly ran up to them and like said something to them. I don't know what he said. And then the next, after that, I found out that he told them, if you drop your phone one more time, I'm going to make you leave. And then there was all sorts of other behavior during the concert that was like similar in nature, like more things dropping that were loud. One person stuck their hand up and like started videotaping the classical music concert, which to my experience is not really done in a classical music concert. And then like that person dropped their phone as well. And then this other guy like made this gesture indicating his upset with that. And everybody could see him make, or not everybody, but people behind him could see him making his gesture. So I was upset because I didn't perceive that going up to my kids and my family only was fair. So at the next concert, the next night, the same guy, he gets up in front and he's like, all right, so yesterday was very, very loud. Oh, and by the way, also the organizer of the festival, the mayor, his phone alarm went off at the end of that concert too. So including him, his phone alarm went off. Like he was shocked. He was in the back of the church, but I looked and I was toward the back and I saw him like take out his phone and be like, oh my God, and like turn his alarm off. So, okay, this behavior was very disruptive, if you will. I don't know, disruptive is a judging word, but there were lots of noises that were not the piano music. Okay, I'll say it that way. And at the beginning of the next concert, he was like, oh, I want everybody to be more quiet tonight. We had a lot of, and this is all in German. He's like, I want everybody to be very, very quiet. We're trying to have a concert here. And then in English, he said, and to our Americans, don't throw books anymore. Well, so I sat with my feelings during the whole concert and I had a pen and paper and I journaled. And afterwards I went up to him and I was just filing out of the church and he said, how do you like the show? How do you like my town or something? And I was like, great, wonderful. And I took a deep breath and I had my intention to connect and I had all my intentions very clear and I had a conversation with him. And he didn't really want to hear me at first, sort of. He was like talking about why his alarm went off and stuff like that. But then I listened to him. It was like a feeling that I had of being very, very connected to my intention to connect with him and to self-express. I was like really holding both equally, very, very close to my heart. So I was like, well, but I really want you to hear me because I didn't think it was fair. And I just want you to understand how the kids were traveling for thousands of miles and they're listening to classical music. And it's wonderful that they're bringing the age down of the audience. And I'm so proud of them. And of course, I'm their mom. So, and I also shared vulnerably, I said, I'm very scared talking to you because you're like the mayor and you're the big boss guy of the event. And I just needed to say it though. He listened to me. He said, I could do better. And I said, oh, okay, gosh. And everything changed for me at that moment. And I was like, we all could do better. I could do better. He's like, thank you. And then he hugged me. And then 30 minutes later, he emailed my mom and said, for the youngsters in your family, I offer free tickets for tomorrow's concert. So golly, I was grateful. I was so grateful for him. And I was like, he's my new best friend, and so he made it into my gratitude journal and I'll share more about that process. But with my story in mind, it could be about something that somebody did that made your life more wonderful, that involves courage, like mine did, Or it could be somebody you don't even know who's just nice to you, like at the post office. But I want you to kind of ground into your intention for why you're here for this class too. Like if you want to learn the new skills, or you like seeing the people that you know, or you're just like here to recharge for your Sunday and to move into the rest of the week with the feeling of more groundedness and energy and juice. So think about what your intention is. And then next, I invite you to focus your attention on the here and the now, on what we're doing together, what we'll be creating in this space. So maybe moving distractions to the side, and if possible, an invitation to be as much present here with your attention on us as possible. And then third, to be open to the outcome, to sort of feel a flexibility in your system where you might be surprised or delighted, maybe confused, who knows? But to be aware of your openness to outcome. And then I'm going to invite us to spend a couple minutes writing down, if you have a journal with you, if not, go grab a piece of paper maybe, or just think about it. What is something that somebody did that made your life wonderful? And another way to view this is like a gift that they gave you. And it wasn't even necessarily that you asked for the gift, but they just did give it to you. And you felt that you received something that you enjoyed, you loved it. It was good for you. In my example, I think that I'm very, very grateful for the gift of that the mayor of the town / concert organizer provided for my family. He gave us free tickets and he listened to me and he gave me a hug. So I'm trying to make my observation as neutral as possible, just because it's one of the nonviolent communication skills. I'm not saying that mayor was the best ever. That's a judgment, even though it's a positive one. So just write down the facts of what happened, more or less, or think about them. All right. The next step in this process would be to think about the needs, energies. So I like that you experience that come alive for you as you think about this gift someone gave you. Needs, energies are a very foundational part of nonviolent communication. In fact, the developer of it, Marshall Rosenberg, believes that everybody works off of needs and that all of our actions are motivated by these universal values and human needs. So here's a list of needs in case you want to familiarize yourself with these. In my example, the needs that were met for me and why I'm so grateful for that conversation, I tapped into the energy of, oh gosh, empowerment in that conversation. I was so brave and I felt so empowered. And my needs for connection were also there. They're really up and alive for me. Where's connection on here? I don't know if connection's on here, but it's definitely a need. Oh yeah, empathy. It's under empathy. Man, when he gave me that hug, I felt so connected to him. And there's something in there too about justice. My needs for justice were really up for me. Yeah, I was fed. Like we have needs that we want to feed and that they just require like some nourishment, So sometimes I have a need for justice and I want it to be fed, and I tap into that energy and I do things in my life to meet that need. And that was one of them. Yeah, the mama bear in me. So how about for you? What needs were met for you, and what energy kind of was driving when you received the gift from somebody? Why was what they did important to you? without naming any of the story behind here, I would love to hear a few voices into the space at this time. Just maybe unmute yourself and name a couple needs, not anything else, just what needs were live for you when the person did what they did. If you're willing, if anybody's willing to share.
The need that was met was interdependence.
Or people can write them in the chat too. Whatever your needs were, kind of sink into the energy of them and feel that is going through your system. If it's like interdependence or justice or connection or whatever your needs are, so let that go into your experience. I'm seeing it coming up as clarity. Yeah, so what does clarity do for your system when you think that you got that from somebody? Empowerment and self-expression. Yeah, acceptance. Acceptance just for who you are without questions or exigences. Respect. Yeah, choice, autonomy maybe too, huh? Oh. Receiving a message from someone. Thank you so much. Okay. And then very closely related to when you think about the needs energy that's alive for you, how do you feel about receiving this gift? And here's a big list of words. You can just look at the ones in bold if it's too many words. But with me, in my story, I felt enlivened. I felt rejuvenated in that moment. And even, so you can think of this in two ways too, like how did you feel in the moment when you received the gift and how does it live on with you now? I felt so appreciative and invigorated. So many feelings that I felt actually the more that I look at this list. Sometimes even our body can inform us too, and then we come up with new needs that were met. So I was journaling on another topic that I was grateful about, and I realized that I felt sparkly in the moment. Like now I don't feel sparkly about it, but when I recalled it, I was like, oh, all of them, one after the other. Yeah, yes, good. That's a big one for you then, that gratitude, I bet. And so as I journaled, I thought, gosh, in that moment, I felt so sparkly. And then that led me to realize more needs that had been being met in that experience. And the further needs that I feel were there for me were community and belonging, because that sparkliness gave me a little clue about that. So sometimes you can play going back and forth between the feelings, and even we'll get to body sensations, and then go back to if more needs were met for you, if more needs were fed. So we'll move to this next slide here for body sensations, because I do believe our bodies can tell us a lot of things, even if we want to maybe revise the story that they're telling and reclaim and be more empowered in our lives. Still, the body is the beginning of it all. Like in my story, I had so many body sensations because I was so nervous at first. And then they transformed and I felt much more energized and more like my heart was like champagne bubbles. It was like so excited. So the invitation again is to just keep journaling and seeing if new things arise for you as you go a little deeper, or to think about them and see where your wonderings go. And I guess, yeah, too, with nonviolent communication, if we know we're in that nonviolent space, it's that we're wondering and we're curious, and we're able to see things from somebody else's perspective. We're not just tunnel vision our own way. So I want to layer that in as another principle of nonviolent communication. Oh, you felt contraction? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Here is where we would love to do a breakout. I have these little hashtags here for connection and growth. And when we come back, I would love to have a harvest for the needs of interdependence and learning and even vulnerability, maybe. So the breakout would be for 7 minutes plus a 1-minute countdown. So it would just be a couple minutes per person, and decide quickly if you want to use a time, like a timekeeper, or just look at the clock, or if you want to be more freeform about it, to share your story and the needs that were brought up for you. What was alive in your system? And then to maybe even share the body sensations. And I want you to own the story. I want you to really feel like this is something that can ground your nervous system and nourish you. That's my goal. Welcome back, everybody. Oh, that was
We were
so
not ready.
Oh,
Too
I
quick.
know. Yeah, I know. We could talk for so long. So do you want to share what was something that, don't share like naming what anybody else said in your group, because we want to respect what happens in that space. But does anybody want to share? I'd love to do a harvest of what you learned, or what, like in our group, we were able to get deeper. And that was very exciting. So I'd love to hear. Does it feel too private, or was there confusion?
The Dorca's unmuted. I don't know if that's because she wanted to speak or not.
Well, it was not, but I can't. I had a lovely thing with acceptance, the way I am, from my cousin, who lives in Germany, and also with my brother that showed up, that he's for me when I need. So this is, immense of gratitude, and it's really nice. And Incan was saying that it's even something very beautiful also to be able to receive, because it's a two-way street. And I would love her to share our thought.
Yeah, I hope my line is stable. It's on and off today. I'm very sorry. Italian internet is not the best. So yeah, we had a beautiful moment together. I actually we only finished her part because we were going so deep. It was just lovely that we didn't manage my part, but I felt very beautiful that there were things that she mentioned about this first friend and the special relationship that I felt the same gratitude, being reminded of a similar moment of with a friend of gratitude that was kind of very, very similar. So I really enjoyed just honestly listening to her and being reminded of moments that are in synchronicity with my life. And I always feel that honestly, when it comes to gratitude, it's such a strong frequency that it cleans everything. Like, sorry, I drifted a bit off, but that just came to me now after our breakout room. That I feel it's beautiful, and I really appreciate that you're here today with us, and that you share your wisdom with us. Thank you very much, Jane.
Oh, thank you, Incan. That really sounds very, very powerful. I'm curious about how you're going to respond to the next parts of the exercise, because we still have 2 more parts and they're extremely powerful. And I want to know how specifically for you it would go, because gratitude is big. It's really deep. And it can, oh gosh, like Adulka, you were talking about, I think I was going to guess for you, like it tapping into trust for you. Maybe trust and faith in the universe. And that's what happened in our small group too, is it got to a deeper layer of like healing and trust. And to have that awareness with a little bit of exploration, 5 minutes of exploration is very, very powerful indeed. I love it. I love that you specifically also, Incan, used the words going from violence, even if it's just like a system of violence and the attitudes that are not spoken, but just sort of live, to a different kind of nonviolent, grateful place. It's very, very powerful to me. I'm very, very excited. All right, I'm gonna do the next part of this exercise. So here we go. This is about empathy for the other person, which is really big in nonviolent communication and in life. How can we have more empathy for others? And the question is, what feelings and needs motivated the other person to give you the gift? And some of you might have already built that into your experience. So it might be like, oh, well, they were clear about it, like they wanted money or something, but no. Maybe there was something else there. I worked this through with a friend of mine when she came over to my house, and I told her, I'm so grateful that you're here and that you drove here. I wonder what needs were met for you when you did that. Oops. And she said, well, support for you, because you came into the city for me and you were busy this weekend, so I came to you. And then we realized, oh, there maybe was also discovery for her on her drive through the city to get to my house. She might have been learning and seeing new things and had a little bit of adventure on the way too. So there were more needs that we realized that were good for her in the situation. So think about your person. If you don't have a person, think of somebody who did something that made your life better. And think about, why did they do it? From the goodness of their heart, what needs were met? So a quick review of these needs. Like for them, did they get, like for my friend, maybe she got balance. For the mayor of that town, I think what he got were also needs. He probably got to, I want to even say something here in the meaning. Maybe it was meaningful for him. Maybe it was a shared sense of power because I was there, like kind of approaching him. So maybe he enjoyed having something like that. Maybe he got learning and clarity. Maybe he enjoyed supporting us too. Some sort of mutuality, Now, when I'm going to be honest with you, when I think about what needs the other person was meeting when they did something, it brings me to this beautiful cycle of interconnection. I love interdependence and interconnection. I think the world flows that way, and the nature cycles. We as communities flow that way with each other. So this question of what needs were met for them kind of rocked my world when I heard about it. Okay. I'm going to go right to the next question, which is the last question. What are 3 things you did to get this thing you're grateful for? My hashtags here, I can't see them because I've got you guys bigger, but let me see. Self-agency and empowerment. Okay, so I'll tell you the story first, but before I give you a couple minutes to think about this, let me tell you a story. So 15 years or so ago, maybe more, maybe like 18 years ago, my friend who taught me this gratitude practice said, list 3 things you're grateful for. It could be like not from a person, it could be like water or, air. If you're having a really bad day, sometimes all you can be thankful for is like water and air, And so she said, but what are the 3 things that you did to make that happen? And every day we were very strict, and we would share in an email. This was like pre-phones and stuff. We would share 3 things we were grateful for and 3 ways we made each of those things happen. So at the end of the day, we would have 9 ways we made 3 things happen. It's very empowering. Feels a little odd at first. You're going, oh my God, I don't know, like I paid my water bill. Yes, I paid my water bill. I paid my water bill. Or I took time to drive to the lake. I've set my intention for the water. Even as I drank a cup of water, I cleaned the cup. I had a clean cup to drink from. Now, when you're thinking about a person, so there are different kinds of gratitudes, but this one I've asked you to do today is like being grateful for a person. What are 3 ways that you did you did something? So with the director of music / mayor, 3 things I did is I definitely self-connected beforehand. I got very, very clear on my intention, many intentions, and I journaled. So that's one thing I got very clear. I did self-compassion practice. And I remember I took that deep breath before I answered him. That's another thing I did. Another thing I did is I said yes to going to Switzerland. It was a lot of work to go there. And I even a 4th thing, maybe, I'm clear on my commitment for like my children and my family. So it's like what did I do? I acted in a way that is an integrity to me when it comes to my family. Well, really all people, but in the case of injustice. So those are 4 things I did. And when you put all this together, this is the practice. This is the gratitude practice I have to offer you. Is looking at the action, looking at the needs that were met for you, looking at your feelings and body sensations, either then or now. What were their needs? What was their motivation for doing it? And then what are 3 ways that you made it happen? And then do that for 3 things a day. So, hey, welcome back. I want to know how it was for you to do that layer, either layer where you have compassion for the other person and their needs, or for your empowerment. Please share your voice into this space, or maybe write into the chat. Also, notice that I've put a feedback form because I am a candidate to be a certified trainer. And so we love feedback. I want to know what worked. I want to know what didn't work for you, because then I can change it, hopefully. So please give some thought to filling that out. But please, let's hear a voice in this space.